online discussions and other oxymorons. So, are you having effective online discussions? I mean, really, when was the last time you had a meaningful conversation with 100 to 1,000 of your friends and acquaintances? I mean, there's so much ability to communicate, and people are putting stuff on the internet left and right, but how many people are actually listening to each other? And it is whether it's person or online. So what does it take to make sure that communication is taking place? Well, I would offer that these elements have to be in place for a discussion to occur. There needs to be a purpose to the discussion. You're trying to accomplish something. People involved in the discussion need to have at least some common ground as a basis for discussion. I mean, really, if you ever watch a conservative Republican and a liberal Democrat try to talk to each other, I mean, they're just talking past each other. They have nothing in common. They don't understand a single thing either one of them is saying. And so the more people in the discussion know about each other, the easier it's going to be to communicate. So these are the keys to creating an online discussion I'm going to offer as a suggestion. Always keep the purpose of the discussion in mind. I mean, it's Facebook's a perfect example. It just scatters all over the place. Now, if you can say the purpose of a Facebook page is just to talk to people and know people and see what people are up to, that's fine, and it's kind of a general purpose. But if you really want to accomplish something specific, that's really tough in a general Facebook conversation. And use the tools that make it easy to have a discussion and respond to people's comments. And the simpler the tool, the better. Now, probably the simplest of all tools, as we'll discuss, is email. But if you ever had to try a 2 or 3 month discussion with email, there are so many emails, and which version of the document are we on? And so sometimes, if it's a complicated purpose, you need some complicated tools. So that's what I mean by use tools that fit the purpose of the discussion. Now, one tool will be used for a simple discussion in which you want some immediate feedback. For example, just send out a quick email and get some responses back. That's fine. But if you got a 20-page paper and you're going to be working on it for 3 or 4 weeks, emails are not going to cut it. So what type of discussion do you want to have? Now, as I thought about this, I can think of kind of a matrix. First of all, you got the size of the group, which is basically what we're talking about here. And then the purpose, is it a specific purpose? You've got a paper to review or a specific question? Or is it just, I've got this group of friends and I want to know what my group of friends have to say. It's kind of a general, just I want to talk to my friends kind of purpose. But let's look at this slide here. We got small groups of people that already know each other. That's going to be the easiest one. You have small groups of people who don't know each other that well. You're thrown into a meeting and you don't know these people, but you want to have a conversation with them. Then you have medium groups of people that you work with on a daily basis. For example, that would be your grade level teachers, or if you got a small group of math teachers or science teachers that you see on a daily basis. You also may have a medium group of people that you don't see on a regular basis. That might be people that you used to work with. But you still want to keep in touch with them, and they're scattered all over the country, so you can't see them on a regular basis, but you still want to have communication with them. Then you have large groups of people that you see on a regular basis. That might be like you work at a large high school, and large group of people there, and you see them in and out all the time, but you don't have maybe a personal relationship with everybody. And then the last group I'm going to talk about is a large group of people you don't know very well. For example, all the people who belong to the Minnesota Association of Alternative Programs. So the purpose depends on the size of the group. Now, for a small group of people you know very well, there can be many goals. You just have a quick question on a given topic. You have something come up and you want to handle a specific situation. Some kid did something, and if any of your close friends had a similar situation, you want their input. You're setting up a meeting for a small group of people. You had a meeting with this group of people, and you want to follow up on comments that were made at a meeting. How many times have you been in a meeting and you leave the meeting and you think, oh, if only I'd thought of that now? Well, with online discussions, you can catch those comments that you think of later. And then you also might have a to-do list from a recent meeting. Now, for medium-sized groups, there can also be many purposes. Set up meetings, set an agenda for the meeting. You want to follow up on a to-do list for a prior meeting. you may want a quick survey on a given topic. For you have all the members of your math team. You want to get a survey of what do you think about a given topic. You also may want to discuss a given topic. At the school I used to work at, we were, as part of our professional development, we were reading a book, and then I set up a Schoology class where I put in discussion questions that were preset, and we could make our comments on the questions about the book that the group was reading. Now, the more people you have involved, the harder it is to get interpersonal conversation. I mean, just think of it. You're in a meeting with 30 people, and there's somebody else on the other side of the room. Are you going to have a conversation with that person? No. So the size, and then that's true for medium groups, it's even more true for larger groups. Okay, for large groups, the purpose may be you want a survey of opinions. Now, when you have a large group, if you had 100 people and everybody responded to an email, it's going to be really hard to summarize that. So you could have surveys. If you haven't seen word clouds, those are very interesting. You just have everybody give me 2 words that you think about this meeting, and then you put them all in a word cloud, and it really does do a good job of showing the consensus of the group. You may have requests for ideas on a given topic. That allows people to offer solutions and get feedback on those ideas. You might want to communicate an idea or program with a request for feedback, so that somebody has a new math curriculum that they want to use in the district, and so you can use online discussions to communicate what it is, and they get people's feedback on it. It gives you, it's mostly one-way communication, but it does give you a chance for input on an idea. And as I said before, the more people in the group, the harder it is for interpersonal communication. So those are kind of the purposes and the size of groups we can talk about. What tools are available for online discussions? Well, email we talked about. Google Docs is basically you have Word documents and spreadsheets and presentation, PowerPoint type things that are stored on the cloud and people can share. Google Keep is something that Google put out there for free. It's basically yellow stickies that you can share on the internet. And so you sign up with your Google account, you make a note, you can make it a different color, you can put it in a label on it just like you put labels in folders, and so you can store all the notes in one place and you can share them with people. So basically you can set up a board to put yellow or put Post-its on, but it's on the internet. And so it's on a cloud, so you can everybody can use it. Google Blogger is you set up a simple blog, and so one or more people can put posts on there, and then people can respond to the posts. Google Site is a very simple way to set up websites, and then you can set up different tabs for different topics, and maybe you can put a blog on on each of the tabs, or you can have discussions, or you can put links to Google Docs, and so it's a little more complicated, but lets you do some pretty fancy things. Google Forms is a quick way to take surveys. Schoology, a lot of schools are using Schoology. It's an online content management system where you set up your classes. It also can be very useful to set up a discussion. And when we did the book discussion at my prior school, that's what I used. I just set up what was theoretically a class, and instead of quizzes, the quiz was the questions for that week about the chapter that we were reading. And there's all kinds of tools within Schoology to do quizzes, to do discussions, to do just anything you would run a class. You can use that same thing to run a discussion. Facebook is probably one of the most common forms of internet discussions. People use it for just social, frivolous purposes, but you can set up a page and have a specific purpose and then limit the people who can see that page. And so it has all the advantages of using Facebook with the like comments, and but lets you carry on a discussion with just a certain group of people. And then, as I mentioned before, word clouds, where you have people respond with a limited number of words on a given question. You copy all that up to one of these websites that creates the cloud, and basically the word that is used the most has the largest font, and if it's used only once or twice, it has the very smallest font. And so you can see what are the common thoughts that a large group of people have. I took a MOOC one time with 35,000 people, and they had synchronous classes, and the instructor was giving a lecture to 35,000 people. He said, let's take a 5-minute break, and then here's the question I have for you. And like 20,000 people responded with 1 or 2 words to this question, and then his graduate assistants built a word cloud. I mean, it was possible to have a conversation with 20 or 30,000 people live. So that was pretty cool. So let's talk about how we use those. Now, if you have a small group, email is the simplest way to do it. I mean, people have been using this for decades. Is you set up an email group, you send that email to that group, and people can use respond to all to enter in the discussion. The pros of this is it's the simplest method. It just requires set up an email group, which everybody does all the time. The cons is it's not appropriate for a more complicated question or lengthy discussion. For example, if you've got a paper you're writing and you want people to comment on that paper and you take a month to do it, let's see, what was the latest document? You know, the trail of emails can be impossible to follow. Also, there's no way to rate comments so that people can't, like a comment so that you get an idea of which comment people feel is the most valuable. Other procedures for small groups, we talked about Facebook. Instead of just set up a page so that you can limit the people who participate in the discussion, the pros are it's simple. People are familiar with Facebook, so it's easy to use. And the ability to like comments let people comment and rate comments, so you can see which the most valuable comments that people agree with the most have the most likes, and you can see what people like. Cons are some people refuse to use Facebook. There are privacy issues. There are how is Zuckerberg using this to make money, and so also privacy on Facebook is suspect, to say the least, and so you may get a larger audience than you desire. So if it's something very personnel matters, don't use Facebook. It wouldn't be appropriate. Okay. Other procedures are the Google Blogger, Google Site, Schoology. All three allow you to set up a site, and then you can sign up users for a private conversation. The pros are it gives you more capabilities to organize the discussion. It's easier to track complicated documents. You can link to Google Docs so that you can have versions of different documents and then notes within the documents. And it lets you can maintain limited privacy for discussion. The cons are it's more complicated to sign up and set up, and then you have to sign up, and people are so busy these days, they have to sign into one more thing and create one more username and one more password. They just go, no, I'm not doing that. Now, for medium-sized groups, same thing, pretty much the same thing as before. Facebook page, you can sign up members, set up a page for a given topic, easy to use, but the cons are people refuse to use Facebook. Also, we can use Blogger, Google Site, Schoology, same tools as a small group. Each of these tools have available in them for surveys and discussions, and all of these can link to Google Docs. Finally, procedures for a large group, pretty much the same tools that were available for the medium group, but you probably make more use of surveys and word clouds because you're not going to. I took a MOOC with 10,000 people, and there's discussion pages. There are so many comments with 10,000 people. Even if somebody makes a good comment, you're probably not going to find it. So in summary, the real key to effective online discussions is you need to find people who are willing to listen. You got plenty of people out there willing to set up blogs, make comments. The number of people who are willing to listen, rare quantity. You need to have a common purpose. You need to have people who share a set of values so they respect each other, people who meet on a regular basis, and who have a sense of accomplishment. Now notice, those requirements have nothing to do with online discussions. Those are the same requirements you have for having effective in-person discussions. But, pardon me. The online discussions remove you don't have to all be in the same place. You can talk at different times, and so there are some values to online discussions. But so much of our communication is not just the words that are being said, but body movements, expression on your face that you lose in online discussions. So really the key is to form these groups, probably in person, and then use online tools to maintain the discussion when you're not together. So they can maintain these special groups, and if you're really lucky, you might form some new ones. Right? Thank you very much.